Hello and welcome to the Worldwide People's Championships. We're in the U-1700, round 1 between Uranium Trader and Swackle. Big thanks to all the players who sign up and who actually make it. And one thing I've noticed over the last couple of weeks is that a lot more people sign up than can actually play. And I think the deadline here, Saturday morning for United States and Saturday evening for Europe, might not be good enough. So I think for week 6 we're going to extend it to Saturday, whatever that means to you. If you can get all your games done on Saturday and then on Sunday we can get the final, I think that will really help out because quite a few people get left out. So in this following video we're going to go through all the challenger matches for both U-1700 and U-2000, and then Napalm should make a video showing the two finals between whoever wins the challengers and their current champions, the SSSS Romanian in U-1700, and of course Iridium Blows from U-2000. Iridium Blows is absolutely getting extremely good, so we'll see if you can get beat by whoever makes it. But this is U-1700. See Swackle here going second air with 7 P-Gens and a Hydro. He's going to have a huge excess power. If you get a Hydro this close, 7 P-Gens is quite a bit, but that's okay. Looks like early Mech Marine. Looks like 2 Engineers and Mech Marine coming out for Swackle. And on the side, we got Uranium Trader also going second air. Single NG on the Hydro, 6 P-Gens before the Air Factory. So these Hydros, when they're close like this, they really make build orders, the correct build order, very difficult to actually spot, as well as its reclaim. And that's why every single map, depending on the spacing, has a slightly different optimum build order. And it's usually optimum build order for whatever you want to do. If you want to go with this much power as Swackle is going to have, perhaps he wants to get an ACU upgrade, or he wants to really spam air hard. He'll have to use up all that power. You'll have to put engineers on that Air Factory. So we'll take a quick look at that. And of course, this map, 3 choke points. The middle is blocked by a bunch of civs, a whole bunch of mass. I'm sure most of you have seen Certus before. Here we're going to get the first engagement. See a Mech Marine traverses one, dies. Uranium Trader gets the first kill. Almost loses Mech Marine, but survives. And that radar, together with your light assault bots, is huge. It gets you that early warning that something bad is going to happen, and then you can start microing before the other player. And it's usually whoever makes the first move, gets the first dodge, is going to win that battle. Swackle trying to get up on top, unable to do it. He's just going to walk around. But here he's got that second air. He's also got a radar. We're going to see his power plus 130 X's, which is, sorry about that. Alright, let me kill that. We see scouts from Uranium Trader. If we look at Uranium Trader, also excess power, but not nearly as much. It looks like he has mass problems, that's why he's not actually able to use all the mass that he has. And here, tank versus Mech Marine, and the Mech Marine gets the victory, but the scout with 2 kills cleans up a Mech Marine and another scout. But here come the bombers. Great bombers from Swackle, as expected based on his build order. He's going to have more air. See the air turret going up for Uranium. He's lost his power production queue. See the similar thing for Swackle. Swackle already with huge excess power, still really rushing the power. No extra engineers on the Air Factory. He is getting some more land factories. So Swackle is actually doing all right. This is good power. Must be that he's getting a lot of reclaim and mass that he's able to utilize it all. Also, the land factory here for Swackle is good placement. A lot of reclaim here, which that allows you to get engineers into this area very quickly. And another great bomb from Swackle. 3 kills in this bomber. We have seen those Mech Marines, though, from Uranium put pressure on both sides with Swackle. Take care of the problem up on top. And what will Uranium do here? He is going to spot a factory with a scout and likely move in, but here comes a tank. So this is where micro is going to be extremely important, and if you just stand there as Mech Marine versus a tank, you're going to lose, so Uranium is going to run away. We do see Artie from Swackle. He's going to try to take out this point defense. And Uranium on the other side as well. Let's see what these Mech Marines can do for Uranium. We're seeing big land mass, Tech 1 land factory spam from Swackle. One thing we're seeing here, engineers spending their time to factories. It's good to build your factories on places where there's nothing there, so your engineers can right away build. Just saves you a couple extra seconds. And here we see a tank in pursuit of the light assault bot. Of course, light assault bots can't outrun them. The bottom choke point really looks in control of uranium. He's got massive numbers plus an engineer and scouts. The middle's quite even, and really nothing happening up on top. We do see Swackle with a couple tanks. He's got that secure, and gun engineers there eventually. So we're really seeing Uranium Trader making a bet on this bottom part, but he's gonna not make the mistake of losing that engine. Doesn't look like he will. Meanwhile, we do see Swackle. All point defenses are dead, so both players can march in. We see slide numbers for Swackle. And Uranium Trader also has pretty good land production. You can choose to put a few more units in the middle. We see total air domination by Swackle. And this will be a nice raiding force from Uranium. You might see some raiding here for Swackle as well up on top, but not nearly as many units. You can see numbers always working out. In the middle, the Quantum Gateway is dead, both players. He did a little bit of recon, but Swackle is going to get a lot more. Uranium Trader sensing that he is in danger. He retreated. Actually, Swackle is going to get an extra about 3,000–4,000 mass. Uranium Trader just got to get out of there. He's hoping to advance. He's got 10 kills. Swackle got the mass and he's going to get out of there. Swackle actually did quite a few hardies there on his way out. We see domination here on the bottom, but yeah, these are great tanks from Swackle, denying the Hydro and denied the Engineer. See a response from Uranium. He's really pushing with Tech 1 land on all sides. But now in terms of eco, Swackle definitely in a huge advantage because he got that mass and he also had such huge power. He was able to utilize it in his 4th Tech 2 mass extractor. More line factory going up for Swackle. Still no Tech 2 from either player. More Tech 1 line factories for Uranium Trader as well. It's just becoming a big build-up in the middle. So what we've seen here is that Uranium Trader going for map control, though he did make a pretty big mistake here. He did have the better of rating, but just grabbing this chunk of map was a huge loss for him. He's way behind now in terms of eco. What he's got to do is, this is bad at point defense for Swackle. Those engineers should have been dead. That's a huge loss. So in terms of map control, you can make up that deficit if you're a Uranium Trader, and I think he was in position to have a little bit more mass extractors, a little more reclaim. But in order to do that, you need to have a huge engineering force. Doesn't look like Uranium really has that. If you fall behind eco and you don't have map control, you gotta do something. And we do see now Tech 2 land for Swackle, Tech 2 point defenses. Swackle being very methodical, so he's going to go Tech 2 point defenses in the middle while pushing with his massive force on the bottom. On the top, he is having problems. Once again, nice raid from Uranium. Top now completely belongs to Uranium. And we do see these are the extra mass extractors that Swackle doesn't have. But he does have Mongoose. These are some nice tanks here waiting for something. And another, this Mech Marine from a long time ago is still alive. This must be the tank that was chasing him. And another Tech 2 mass extractor. This is good. I'd be able to kill it. We see a response when Swackle is going to move in, try to save his Tech 2 mass extractor. He might be able to do it. And another force moving through the top. And here on the bottom, we're going to see Tech 2 versus Tech 1. We check numbers for Swackle. It's going to be another victory for Swackle. So all the important fights have really gone to Swackle. Really the most important one in the middle. Here, yet another one. We're seeing the Tech 2 run everything over, but Uranium sending more units in that direction. You might actually have success, but Swackle with the Mongoose getting extra units in the area as well. Perspective point defense in the middle. Swackle not getting protected gun. And now Swackle with Tech 2 forces on 2 of the choke points. And he actually has Tech 2 on the top as well as bombers. Swackle in a very good position in this game. Uranium Trader played very well, but he just did not have the eco. bottom choke point with his ACU means the middle is very much exposed. There are no point defenses, just a couple Tech 1 tanks. And if Swackle actually just reclaimed all these walls and just walked through, he would have a lot of success. Looks like Uranium will prevent any more pushing to this point, and actually is going to win some huge reclamation. He might, if there is going to be a comeback, this will be a huge part of that comeback. See bombers going to work against this force. And on top, Uranium is pulling back a whole bunch of forces, so the top choke points are completely exposed against Swackle's massive force. Swackle meanwhile with a technical point defense creep against really a very inferior force. And the ACU gone plus Tech 2, that's going to be very difficult to stop. More Tech 2 massive vectors. I think we got at least 6 versus just 1. The bombers together with Tech 2 landing against the strikers. Strikers holding their own, but they won't last for too long. It's a nice placement of some tanks. It'd be nice if there was one artillery here from Uranium. Instead he's got tanks, but artillery just getting held down on all these mongoose. Would have been a nice move. And really the only players where Uranium has any chances on the bottom choke point. Looks like the top has been broken. I'd love to see those walls be reclaimed. Has not happened. Just mostly mongoose. Perhaps a couple shields would be nice. Oh, this could be something on the bottom there. Swackle. Some pillars. With mongoose, you don't want to make the mistake of getting really close to the strikers. They don't have as much health. It's only 650 versus pillars are over 1,000, or riptides, which are a little more expensive. Could be even better. Uranium trader is going to climb a mountain. I'm not really sure what he's going to do there, which will allow this force from Swackle to take the bottom choke point. Top choke point absolutely defeated together with some bombers, so the top is going to be taken by Swackle. Meanwhile, Swackle is going to run into Tech 2 and Uranium trader as well. And this is where you want to have artillery. Uranium is actually getting countered by Artie from Swackle. I see Tech versus Tech 2, but Swackle Tech 1. Good minute 16, and at this point, a comeback is extremely unlikely. Huge air span from Swackle, putting mass storage around his mass extractors. And Tech 2 point defense creep. Uranium trader actually sitting up on top of that. Much that can be done from this position. You see some attempts from Uranium to do something about that. Top force from Swackle is actually pretty even numbers, but I think Swackle has more. He's also got some Artie. And really, the lack of Artie from Uranium Trader's forces is really showing. It's always a good idea to have mostly tanks, but 1 or 2 Artie definitely give you an advantage. This is Swackle putting point defense up on top. It's superior. Minute 17 is going to be defeated. Swackle moves on to round 2. And now we'll look at the other game in round 1 of the U1700 Worldwide People's Championship Week 5. Hello and welcome to another game from round 1 of the Worldwide People's Championships U1700 Week 5. And here actually looks like the monster is not building. He's losing already 20 seconds to Tempest. So the monster per play we haven't seen yet. It's a bit unfortunate. Losing 30 seconds early on is basically suicide. While we see the Tempest, he's already got a factory almost completed by the time the monster is finished. So I think here the Tempest is going to offer a rehost. But the monster does not want it. I think losing that 30 seconds early on is so much worse than losing 30 seconds at any other point of the game. Some people call this the exponential economy, but really you will see how the monster is going to be way behind this whole time. It looks like he's also kind of screwing up his build there. It's a bit unfortunate. I think it would have been better to get a rehost, because things happened. Yeah, okay, so looks like second air from the Tempest, well, second land, third air after the Hydra. This is a nice build order for this map. He will be very close to stalling on power. I think he might actually do it. He's stalling on mass, which is sort of saving him. But this reclamation. I think if you want to do this type of build, you got to get more than 2 power generators. 3 would have probably been enough to squeeze this out, but perhaps this will give the monster a chance. But you'll see this build is really going to be great once the Hydra is finished. And the Hydra is finished, plus 110, but putting all 3 engineers on the air factory, it's actually nearly perfect. But 1 more P-Gen early on, so 3 P-Gens, first to land, Hydra with 2 engineers and an air. I think I've seen Voodoo do something like that. So the Tempest is now way ahead. We can see what monsters. He's got his second land factory up on top. He's got a Hydra that's halfway done. He's only got 4 mass extractors, way less engineers. He has a scout and a couple of mech marines. Gonna be looking for things to kill. Looks like they're gonna go to the bottom choke point. We haven't seen any raiding at all from the Tempest. Not surprising. That's one thing that you get a huge advantage in when you know that the player started 30 seconds late. You're not going to get raided. And just making engineers early on gets a huge eco advantage. You can see it's like Tempest forgetting to make any air units, so he's going to have huge excess power. And so far, actually the more aggressive player is the monster, running through the bottom, finding nothing. And he's got to get some victories early on if he has any kind of chance. For example, taking out that engineer will be very nice. Although he himself doesn't really have too much going on in terms of grabbing map control. I do hope these tanks don't run into this point defense. You don't want to do this. Well, actually getting saved by something. Looks like those walls are going to save him. He's going to retreat, lost 1. Dang, that was actually interesting. If you get really close to the wall, you don't get killed. And now the monster is going to find himself next to this point defense with no artillery and still throwing away units. So this is bad unit control there from the monster. A bit unlucky. Here comes a bomber now from the Tempest, the first raiding unit, plus a bit of scouting. Looks like the monster takes care of the point defense with his ACU. Reclaim a few of these walls. Finally, somebody decided to break these walls. That's nice. Well, the Tempest is going to find nothing. Might go in, try to kill his engineer. That's going to be pretty brutal. No bombs dropped. Of course, there is still another point defense and no artillery for the monster. Another bomber coming out for the Tempest. It looks like these mech marines did a good job. Denied an engineer. And a bomber for Tempest. Killing engineer. Already power storage for monster. Monster looking to do overcharging. And scouts for the monster. It'd be funny if those scouts got bombed by an airplane. And you can see the Tempest really has total recon of what's happening on either side. And yet another engineer killed, while the monster is just sitting in the middle. So at this point, it's really not clear how the monster can possibly make it back into the game unless there's a huge mistake by the Tempest. Tempest has total air control, now taking out engineers in monster's base. Those engineers are very precious because he doesn't have too many. Yet another good bomb there. We do see finally interceptors for the monster, and now it's an excellent bomb from Tempest, denying the huge expansion. It looks like finally these 2 mech marines are going to be taken care of by some Auroras. Aurora is very difficult to fight with light assault bots because he had such huge range. And here it looks like the monster is going to get the mass first. It appears that the Tempest was the one who broke the other point defense, and the monster is going to grab this whole chunk of mass, of course. He probably doesn't have the power to utilize it all. Now he's going to start power stalling. The monster is going to retreat. The Tempest will push with the Auroras. He's got the range. But still, in terms of map control, you can see so much more here in white compared to red, especially with all the bombing that happened. The monster has turned around. Tempest, pretty similar numbers. Some overcharges. Both players have similar air forces now. And it looks like for the Tempest, this game has been all about engineers. He's got massive amounts of NGs everywhere, and not too much land units. He's got more engineers than land units. He's got a total of about 80, about 75. The monster is going to leave the middle, is going to move to the top. And now it's going to be a huge map advantage. Finally, after 9 minutes, the Tempest is going to grab the bottom. This bomber is still doing a great job. The monster has no engineers up on top. That's 7 mass extractors that he's not utilizing, plus a Hydra. And now it looks like an Aurora force moving to the bottom choke point. Tempest not getting upgrades. And we're going to see a fight up on top, Aurora versus Striker. The monster's ACU should be able to make a difference. We do see a couple of tech-to-mass extractors, 2 tech-to-mass extractors for the monster. We all see tech-to-mass extractors for Tempest, and he's got tech-to-air. And that should be the game winner. Gunships or Mercies, either way. There's absolutely nothing that the monster can do against those in this position. He's got a couple tech on flak, but against tech to air, that's going to be nothing. And the monster now just walk into his demise. And you can see this is what happens when you start late like that. You should just go ahead and take the rehoust that was offered by the Tempest. The monster giving a bit of veterancy. Protected power. Very surprising Tempest doesn't decide to build something. I'm sure he doesn't have power bombs. So much stuff on power. Actually, he's putting so much mass into this tech-to power generator. Now the monster is actually surrounded by land units. He might actually be able to die. So a rule of thumb against the unupgraded ACU, if you have over 20 tanks, you should be able to kill them. Artillery is very difficult to judge because depending on the micro, 20 plus tanks, you can go ahead and kill them. Of course, if the other player has the gun, those numbers were enough for the monster. The monster is not going to die after minute 12. Really a game that was over before it started. A bit unfortunate. But Tempest moves on. He's going to play Swackle on Varga to see who's the challenger for U1700. Hello and welcome to round 2. Here we got Swackle and Tempest, who won their respective games. The U1700. Of course, this map haven't been seen since the GPGNet ladder, the last days of GPGNet. Actually, a really hard map to play. Once you get used to it, it's really cool, but I mean, you get things that are completely unorthodox, like only a single mass extractor next to your starting position. So a typical build order like this is not going to work. You're going to mass stall it because you really want at least a couple mass extractors to do this much building. Of course, there is a little chunk of mass here that you can get. The best build order for this map is first air. One cool thing about not having so many mass extractors early on, you don't have, I'm going to slow this down, you don't have to spend so much power on mass extractors, so you can use it on, spend it on bombers. And of course, with mass extractors so spread out, killing these early engineers with bombers is absolutely brutal. Another very special thing is there's a whole bunch of rocks here which block these paths. There's actually quite quite a bit of mass in these positions if you want to get control. Usually the ACU is sent to these positions. But of course, besides that, there's so many different choke points to go through. There's a middle point, which, I mean, there's a couple of choke points on its own. And on the sides, it's an absolute mess. And of course, you can see not too much mass, and it's very spread out. So usually there's multiple bases that you work with, and it turns into a huge battle. But let's see how far this gets. See, the Tempest is going to get an air factory out here. He's got first land. He's very aggressive with the ACU, which is usually what you want to see on this map. Looks like Swackle finally finished his 2 factories and 5 power generators, and given that he wasn't rated, this will actually give him a really good base to create a lot of units with. You can see the Tempest is a bit behind. He did get the reclaim, and he's going to have 2 engineers and a huge power span, which is, that's a lot of resources that you're putting into power. Here comes the land spam. Swackle getting 1 land factory is in a very advanced position. It's also not a very small map. We're just looking at it from far away, but it takes a long time to walk way the heck over there. We're usually used to maps that are about this big, 5x5s, but this is a 10x10. Whole bunch of this is just 2 engineers, and there's an Aurora here who will protect against the flare. A very important Aurora here from the Tempest. 2 kills, 2 shots, 1 kill. Looks like the air factory is complete, nothing being produced for it. And here, this is where the AC needs to come and grab all that mass. But we can see both players very similar in terms of map control. They have their respective original base and 2 expansions with 4 mass extractors each. And actually, at this point, there's quite a bit of mass for both players. So far, very similar. One big difference: huge power spam for Tempest, putting a lot of mass into it. He still has power problems because he is spending 60 power on his power build. And of course, with that much power, getting that mass would put him in a huge advantage. See a bit of power for Swackle as well, but not nearly as much. Finally, this engineer gets into position to start making land factories. In the middle, it'd be nice to put a radar here if it was protected, but Auroras from Tempest are going to ruin that. Although the ACU for Swackle going into the middle, looks like he does not know about this mass. That's unfortunate. Looks like a land factory here. So these expansions are really good to get land factories. Looks like Swackle did not put a land factory here. He's just working on the ones at his main base. He's got an air factory with some bombers. The Tempest actually looks like pulling away in terms of the score. If you look at the reclamation numbers, 500 for Tempest, Swackle at 380. These are extremely small numbers for this map. There's at least 10,000 reclaim in these rocks. It looks like there is an engineer here. It's on an attack move. He's going to grab a bit of mass for the Tempest. Also an engie here on the side for Swackle. Might be able to grab those mass points. And we're seeing first Aurora and Aurora fighting. Of course, Aeon on Aeon. If you're fighting with Aeon, you usually don't see him. You just get shot. And that's where radar becomes critical as well as air. Because got long range and low health. So far, it looks like it's going to be a victory for the Tempest. The Aurora is just sort of going in blind, but this is major production for Tempest. Looks like he's got his ACU next to air factory and a point defense up top, but a major production on the bottom. Looks like the production for Swackle is smack in the middle of the field. He's pulling a bunch of units back, and this engineer here for the Tempest getting huge amounts of mass. So we just saw he was sitting at 300, and now he's at 3,000. And given how much power he has, he can really utilize it and expect to see him turn this mass into tanks very quickly. He's got a lot of build capacity, a lot of power. Some sneaky units for Swackle through the top. And interceptors for Tempest. Tempest also getting a gun. Perhaps Tech 2, I'm not sure. And here we're going to see the Auroras kill the engineers. Still a bit of mass left for Swackle if he chooses to reclaim it. Of course, there's another few thousand mass just sitting there for either player, whoever wants to grab it. Here, Swackle is going to get some first kills in his ACU. Major force move in his direction. And you can see more engineers looking. That looks like Tempest realizes this is pretty good. He's sending more engineers in position to reclaim. Swackle also getting some reclaim on these civs. Sitting at 1500, so he's not way behind the Tempest, although Tempest a few thousand ahead. And here we're going to see the sneaker orange. Looks like they're going to spot. Tempest nearly complete with his gun upgrade. I think it's the gun. And given how much power he's made, he's definitely in a position to do that. Might be a bit of an excess, but it does allow you to do things like use your mass and get very expensive upgrades and pure stuff in Tech 2. So, Tempest ACU, now can make Tech 2 point defenses. Tech 2 point defense creeps, very effective on this map. Of course, he's going to be much more difficult to kill now. Swackle, pulling a lot of forces to the top. He's actually got huge numbers in this area. On the bottom, quite even. You can see Swackle also with a pretty big power spam. Swackle's ACU has been in the middle for a while. He's got 11 kills. Got the 2 mass extractors in the middle. It'd be nice to get a radar there. Meanwhile, the Tempest looks like he's thinking about moving. Not really clear where he's going to go. The sides have been taken by Swackle. So in terms of map control, you can say Swackle is in a slight advantage. But in terms of reclaim, the Tempest now at 5,000. Swackle 2,000, 3,000 mass advantage. Now Lance Humphrey going up for Swackle. Actually, we'll speed this up. The size of this map is so large, and actually Tempest he's not going to retreat, realizing there's a huge force in his area. He's got a radar in the position. He's an engineer. Take the point defenses from Tempest. If he can secure this area, it'd be very nice for him. Up on top of Tempest is going to take out a couple mass extractors, even out map control. The one thing about Aurora is Tech 2 point defenses. It's really not that good, or against any Tech 1 tank. Tech 1 point defenses is the way to go. Especially A on Tech 2 point defense, such low reload. It looks like Tempest is. He was thinking about rushing in, but then pulled back. A good move from Tempest. Swackle, meanwhile, is going to chase after Tempest ACU. Tempest retreats toward the point defense. Very nice move from Tempest. Sorry. Apologies for that. It looks like Swackle is going to take out the double point defense very nicely with some artillery. Tempest, meanwhile, retreats, continues to retreat. And actually, this force from Swackle sort of sandwiched between. Actually, this force from Swackle is the ACU. So Swackle has just walked into a trap, which is really bad. I mean, elsewhere he's doing very well. He's about to take out this base. That's major production for Tempest, but all the units for Tempest moving towards Swackle's ACU, and of course Tempest with a Tech 2 ACU to kill Swackle 28. And Swackle has just found himself surrounded. Great move from Tempest. He went to the middle, tried to get Swackle to follow him, and Swackle did. And then Tempest is going to be our challenger for U1700. Looking forward to his game between him and SSSS. So Ukraine versus Romania. And should see a cast of that from Napalm. Hello and welcome to World People's Championships Week 5 U2000 Challenger tourney. And this is actually going to be a best of 3 between Swackle and ES Shepard. They're playing for a chance to play Iridium Blows, who has been our U2000 champion for a few weeks now. Of course, he was the first U1700 champion, but then absolutely exploded through the rankings, and now is actually, I believe, close to 2000. He might be above 2000. And if he goes above 2100, we are going to be forced to open up another division, which is kind of almost a nightmare because it's really hard to chase down everybody and try to get people to play games. But of course, as mentioned before, we are going to push up the time limit, so the games are going to be decided on Friday. Of course, you can sign up anytime. for next week. We'll decide the matchups Friday, and you will have till the end of Saturday, whatever that is in your time zone, to play them, and on Sunday we're going to have the finals. So here's Swackle versus UF Shepherd. Nice to see Swackle play in both divisions. That's something that's encouraged. Hopefully more people do that. If you have the time, might as well do it. But of course here he's going to be facing a very good player. Shepherd, well, we'll see what happens. Seen second air from Shepherd. He went with his ACU to the Hydro. Also an air factory, land factory. Second air, very standard on this map. You want to get those bombers, deny the mass extractors expanding. We also see mech marines for Shepherd. Moving out to the top, a single mech marine for Swackle. So Swackle back to UEF. He has been switching between A and UEF. Actually, the two factions I like as well. UEF, the safest faction to play with. But Aeon, I do believe they're the most dominant, especially Tech 1, as well as Tech 2. Aeon is just really awesome. Unless, of course, you gotta face these units absolutely dominate Aeon. But of course, here it's UEF on UEF, so it doesn't matter. A mech marine runs by a scout, a tank moving in from Shepherd. He's gonna deny that mech. No, mech marine actually runs away. That could be very bad for Shepherd if there's any engineers expanding. We also see scouts from both players. Up on top, Shepherd with a mech marine of his own, but the engineer from Swackle will be getting protection from a tank. Bombers for both players passing each other, so that you can see this is a fairly high level game here. You see scout bombers, mech marines from both sides. That was an excellent bomb from Shepherd. Still haven't seen any bombing kills from Swackle. Oh, there's a very important kill, denies the expanding engineer. So both players causing damage. We can see stationary flag from Swackle. No fly zone now for Tech 1 Air. And this bomber from Swackle is still alive. Is he going to kill anything? Another engineer, excellent. So no live engineers in the vicinity of this expansion. Of course, there is one right here. Peter Swackle is first to the middle with party. 4 kills on this bomber. I thought it would be dead by now. But quite a bit of damage from Swackle's bombers against Shepherd. Meanwhile, in terms of map control, we are seeing this very good mech marine from Shepherd, but we do see factory here from Swackle, so he should be able to grab that quick once he gets some tanks, take out the mech marine. But on the bottom, looks like a big advantage for Shepherd. 6 tanks in the air. He's going to deny any movement into this direction. Meanwhile, Swackle already took out at one point defense. He's going to take out another Shepherd with a significant amount of build capacity with his 2 land factories and the ACU in the area as well. So it'll be very close to see who's going to get the middle mass. Another bomber from Shepherd. Take out at least an engineer. So interceptors are necessary on the top. On the bottom, looks like Shepherd has solved his problem. He's going to grab these mass extractors. Not surprising, he had a very nice force, but looks like he's going to grab that force and pull it to the middle. You see, there are numbers now for Shepherd in the middle, which might mean he'll grab this mass first. And actually, Shepherd getting first. He's probably going to get at least 1,000 in artillery. Oh, that was terrible. You got to move. Swackle must have run. You see how much health he just lost in a single volley. He would have stayed there. He might have been dead. He needs to break through this wall. Might as well keep aiming and run away. He is getting some units to stop, but these are big numbers for Shepherd. Swackle in a little bit of direction. He's got to retreat to it. And actually not breaking that wall now looks like a good idea from Swackle, otherwise these units would have been all over his ACU to actually go around. Shepherd actually moving better by Swackle though, 3,000 health, but now point artillery from Shepherd and a whole charge. Swackle now to kill any artillery shooting his point, because this really is the last lifeline. Elsewhere we see both players have solved their problems, taking their major expansion. Swackle though, already under 2,000 health. He's got a few units in the area, point defensive. And that appears like he just got hit by a whole bunch of artillery from Shepard. Wow. He was about 1,000 health and suddenly he just died there. So Shepard showing just the power of UEFRD. The longest reload of any artillery, but the most damage per shot. And that's what happens when you're not careful. You get hit very hard. So 9-minute game, we see Shepard play extremely well, which is, see, there's still one more game or two more games coming up. Either the second one's going to be Verga and third is going to be Craig Dunes. But if Shepard makes it, it looks like it's going to be a good challenge for Iridium Blows. Hello and welcome to round. Whoa, that was crazy. I didn't know that this map was like that. Did I screw something up? Oh yeah, that's better. So here is Swackle versus US Shepard. Swackle, of course, down one game, so if Shepard can win this one, he is going to be the challenger for U2000 for week 5. And will face Iridium Blows at some point this weekend. Looks like Shepard going second air. See where the first engineer, I expect first engineer to grab that mass, and looks like Shepard moving out to the side is going to get 2 land factories. So you see, Shepard has major plans. Swackle doing a very similar build as well, and looks like his first engineer is going to grab mass. So Swackle might stall here in mass while you can see first engie on a major reclaim, and you can see how important this mass is for people who play this map a lot. First engie is going to go grab that mass. Another engineer is going to grab other mass. So yeah, Shepard definitely played on the GPG net ladder. First 3 engineers, and actually this build right here very vulnerable toward the first bomber build, which I believe was the dominant build, but it's not going to be used. Shepard actually in a very good shape, 150 mass reclaimed. Not really sure if he'll have enough to build his air factory. Of course, air factory 210 mass, but he is going to get another mass extractor, maybe. Actually, this engineer might be just in time for Shepard. Nope, Shepard absolutely mass stalling. So these first two factories with this much power, it's a bit hopeful of a build order for this map. We're also seeing a mech marine from US Shepard moving out. Swackle likely mass stalling as well. He does have a little more mass extractors. We saw this engineer pass up this mass extractor. But first to land from Swackle, no air. So we'll see just how good the bombers from Shepard turn out to be. A major power build for Shepard, 2 engineers. And now this engie completely unprotected. Will be spotted by a scout plus a mech marine moving out in this direction. There's a tank and an ACU moving over here. It'll be nice to see this engineer reclaim this. Swackle up, yep, he's now going to reclaim it. Now he's got to run because this mech marine is going to kill him. And losing this expanding engineer is very bad, although it looks like Swackle will grab this with his ACU anyway. Here comes a bomber from Shepard. Somehow Swackle runs away. Shepard's mech marine decided to shoot at mass extractors instead, which is going to be a mistake, so Swackle catching a break. But here comes bomber. Hits the factory instead of the engineers. And we absolutely have no flag so far from Swackle. He needs to get interceptors or flag or something, otherwise he's going to get picked apart. He is working on an anti-air turret. See some dancing. At least one engine survived, that's nice, but we do see some mobile flag coming out now. 4. Swackle takes out the scout. Now mech marine together with the bomber. Would have been nice to see a bomb right in that engine from Shepard, but it looks like it didn't drop. It's always a good combination, mech marines from bombers. Mech marines can spot targets when the bombers come in.
It's much easier to bomb that way. And this is going to be bad. Actually, Swackle getting lucky, not losing his radar. But absolutely no anti-air in that position, so he's going to lose all those units soon. An engineer for Swackle. Looks like he will be spotted by Shepard. So some nice micro, but a nice dodge from Swackle. And now Swackle grabbing these bottom mass extractors. But one big difference though, this engineer here getting all that. That was the first engineer that Shepard made, and here minute 5 finally got to the position to grab a whole bunch of mass. Shepard now 2200 mass. No problems whatsoever. And the bombers for Shepard absolutely dominant in this one. No air at all for Swackle. So we're seeing first to land versus land air on this map. It's a clear winner. And actually first air on this map is very common, because you see, if you get air dominance, you can always avoid any stationary flak, and denying expanding engineers is very powerful. As we're seeing right now, not having an engineer in this position means these units here are very much exposed. And it took Swackle a bit of time to secure this area as well. Swackle finally going to get an air factory here, minute 6. See major problems. Not too much land factories. Meanwhile, Shepard's going to get 2 land factories. Looks like he's going to move in, and he's got this engineer getting free mass. But the ACU, the typical move is to put the ACU in this position. If you can get a first engineer to grab this choke point as well, that's just a huge bonus. Generally, you can see how close all these tanks are if they just move to this choke point. The complete denial is. It's really the big story about this game is the bombers. The bombers for Shepard, absolutely dominant. They know exactly what's going on everywhere, and they're denying all kinds of expansion. The only engineers for Swackle are back at his base. There are no engineers out in the field. Very difficult to play in that position. Now major force from Shepard now moving in. Swackle does have numbers here. Well, it's actually going to be quite even. Might come down to micro. We have seen, this is actually mostly tanks, mostly no artillery in this one for Shepard. We do see arty for Swackle, but we've seen Shepard's arty here do great things. A couple tanks running to Swackle, and Shepard does the right thing, splits the tanks to minimize the damage, actually saves all of them. Only 2 kills for Swackle. And the bombers for Shepard continue to make life very difficult. Appears a land battle that's going to be won by Swackle. A good amount of reclaim. But all those 4 mass extractors denied, so major engineering force going into this position for Swackle. Still no reclaim in this position for Shepard. He's saving that, it seems. Now a small force for Shepard is going to deny the other 4 mass extractors. So at this point, what we're seeing is that Swackle is got 3 mass extractors. He's got 4 now. Another 3 that are about to die. Much less than what Shepard has. Swackle thinking about an upgrade. That's going to be very expensive in this position. See, he is getting a bit of reclaim to support. He's got plenty of power. They're losing all those mass extractors. It's a very underplayed map, but extremely frustrating, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And now it looks like Swackle has been found out by major force from Shepard, and there's really no way back from this. So plenty of tanks here for Shepard to end the game. I expect him to do it. Swackle might get a little bit of time to get his tech changed. Actually, I think it's the gun, but I always forget. Yeah, so quite dominant from Shepard, and looks like Shepard is going to be. Why isn't so Shepard doing the safe thing about not attacking the ACU at all? I don't know why he thinks that it's not safe to do so, given that this force is right here. So I'll actually speed this up a little bit. Yeah, it's a lone ACU here for Swallow. Left hand, is that the gun or Tech 2? That's the question. Honestly, it's the gun. And I was wrong. It's Tech 2. So right hand is the gun. Left hand is Tech 2. But anyway, it looks like Shepard choosing to attack the base instead of the ACU. That's the safe thing to do. Although, yeah, the game won a couple minutes ago. Swallow now no longer has a base. And game is on. So really looking forward to the games between Iridium and Shepard. Of course, the format for the final. The first map is chosen by the challenger. In this case, it's Shepard. And the second and third are going to be chosen by the champion. And of course, it's a best of 3, so a third is not necessarily going to happen. And the restriction on the maps, they have had to been on the ladder, either on GPGnet or on FAF at some point, and no imbalanced maps. That's basically the idea.